Okay, the immune response. So the immune response is quite complex. I do have some videos there you can watch. There's a TED video, and then there's an animation here. I'm just going to use these pictures. So you need to know the general order for the immune response. That's usually the most common question. We kind of give you like five of them. We're like, what are these in order? And there is a couple challenging ones. Suppressor T cells and the helper T cells, this end thing here, these two here, people always get those mixed up. So you turn everything off, and then at the end, after you've turned it all off, then there's some that remember the pathogen. So we'll talk about that later. That's the most challenging part. Okay, so the first part of the immune response is that you have to be infected with a pathogen. So here's a pathogen right here. Pathogen. And this pathogen, pretty much every cell has like identifiers, almost like a fingerprint or a tattoo. And that's what this thing here is. So this whole thing here, that's a pathogen, bad guy, infecting you is going to cause you some harm to your body. And this thing here is the antigen. Antigen. People always get that confused with antibody. Antigens cause the generation of antibodies, and that's why it's called an antigen. Generation of antibodies. Anyway, antigen, they're just like markers on all cells. Our cells have it, and that's how we know not to attack ourselves unless you have a autoimmune disease. So here's a pathogen. It has an antigen on it. And then he gets in there, and then we have these security guards called macrophages, and they kind of just like go through our blood, and they wait for things to get in here, like this pathogen. So he's going to catch it. So now he's going to shrink him down. He's right here. He's going to catch him. He's going to eat him. He destroys him, and then he pushes this antigen to the outside of his body. So it's right there. So he kills everything about it except for that little antigen. And then he's a bit of a joker. So he knows his buddy, the helper T cell right here, has to grab onto it and like acknowledge that it's an antigen and then know what to look for. So he presents it. This is the presentation, or presenting the antigen to the helper T cell. Okay, so that's right here. The macrophage eats it. They're like security guards. And then the antigen is presented by the macrophage to the helper T cell. Helper T cell is the alarm system. Okay, so this is the presentation right here. This is the helper T cell. Helper T. He's being presented the antigen. Then he's setting off the alarm. Now, this is way more complex in real life than what we have to learn, but whatever. And he does that through like chemical signals and through direct communication. So he's going to actually tell this guy right here, this is the B cell. Okay, this is the helper T cell. Helper T cell. And the B cell, I think of the B cell, B for build, because he's going to build antibodies. Antibody. And antibodies are these little Y-shaped things here. They're proteins. They're Y-shaped, and then they have little ends that stick to the antigen. So that little red thing there, that fingerprint, that's called the antigen, and this is called the antibody. And the antibodies go into our blood and our tissues, and they stick to all these pathogens. Now imagine you're living life and somebody just sticks like a bunch of these things to you, or maybe somebody handcuffs you. They handcuff your ankle to your wrist, and maybe another wrist behind your back, under your legs, to your other ankle. You know, like that would be difficult to run away or to even do your job, right? It'd be very weird to go to school with a bunch of handcuffs on. So that's what's happening to these pathogens with the antibodies. They stick to them. They stick each other. You could handcuff like 7 people together. They wouldn't be able to get through a door. You know, that's what these antibodies do. And then because they're now immobilized, they can't move around because of all these antibodies. Then this other macrophage can like find them, chase them down, catch them really easily. There he is. Look at that one there. And then he eats them and kills them. All right. Now, when they're all gone, when all these little pathogens, or most of them, are dead, then we got to turn everything off, because this is exhausting. Have you ever been sick before? It's tiring because you have to give these cells energy to do their work, and they multiply rapidly. There's a lot of them. So that's when you get your fever and you feel like sluggish because you're sick. You want to sleep all day. You just want to watch Netflix and be babied by your mom or your dad or your brother or whoever takes care of you, boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't know, like whoever does that stuff for you. And then so you got to turn that off. If you're not sick anymore, if these are gone, you got to turn everything off, and that's what this guy right here does, the suppressor T cell. So he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I don't have a picture of him. Here, let's draw him. We'll give him glasses. He's like, stop. He's like a referee. He says stop to this guy. He would say stop to the B cell. He would say stop to the helper T cell. He'd say stop to everybody. And then, after the whole thing is done, then we have this guy here. And he's like, I remember him. So this is called a memory T cell, or a memory B cell, or just a memory cell. Okay, there's two types. There's the T and there's the B cell. The B cell would make antibodies, and the T cell would just recognize them really quickly and set the whole alarm on again. They're both going to exist. Now, where'd they come from? Well, when these guys are told to stop, and this helper T cell here is told to stop the whole thing, he's like, okay, we're going to stop. Most of us are going to just go and die, but some of us are going to turn into memory T cells. And this guy here, some of them are going to turn into memory B cells. Okay? And that's what they do at the very end. Now, there is one other person here that we didn't really talk about, and he fits into the middle, and they're not always going to be working, but they're called the killer T cells. Killer T cells, what do you think they do? They kill cells. So if you have a cell that's infected, like one of your cells, like it has COVID, this is what COVID did, I mean, it's killed a cell because he's inside, he's protected. Yeah, he has antigens, but look, they're inside the cell, they're protected inside. So you can't get an antibody. If this is your antibody, okay, you can't get that. It's like, you can't get it inside, right? It's like, so you'd have to just kill this whole cell. So you shoot it with this protein bullet, and then it dies. Cancer cells, those are bad, kill them. And then bacteria, if a bacteria is inside. So any kind of cell that you have that's infected, you can kill those cells with a killer T cell. Obviously, this guy here is like, stop that. If you didn't have any more cells to kill, you got to stop this guy because he'll start killing your own good, healthy cells. That's not good, right? All right, that's the immune response. So you can see this picture here. Let's see if it makes any sense. So we got there's like a cut in your skin. Pathogens get in. Here's the antigen right here, antigen. Okay, here's a macrophage is going to eat that guy. He kills him, but he sticks these little antigens on his outside body. He presents it to this helper T cell. The helper T cell then goes to his friend here and says, hey, we got to do stuff. I don't know, that must be another helper T cell. Anyway, this helper T cell sends out this chemical here, okay, and it goes to this guy here. This blue guy here looks like he's making a bunch of these Y-shaped proteins. This must be a B cell. He's building these proteins. They stick to this pathogen. Pathogen now is stuck together here, so he can get eaten by this macrophage. So then who is this guy right here? This guy right here. Okay, this is still a helper T cell being presented. The antigen, helper T cell. This must be a memory T cell because everything's done. When he's done this, then he goes into the memory. This guy here, when he's done killing that guy and he's done, everything's finished, then he's going to turn into this memory. These two here must be the memories. And then this guy here must be a killer T cell sending out these chemical bullets. Or maybe this is a suppressor T cell. It's hard to tell from this picture, to be totally honest. I'd have to double key it. I'd have to take both. All right, so hopefully that was somewhat helpful.